What if I told you that while retail investors just dumped $2.3 million worth of Jasmy in the last 72 hours, the smart money is quietly positioning for a massive breakout that could send this altcoin to $3? And what if I told you that the technical setup happening right now hasn't been this bullish since Jasmy's last major run? Stay with me, because the data I'm about to show you will completely change how you look at this IoT blockchain project. Jasmy just delivered a blistering 27% rally last week, and instead of cooling off like most altcoins do after these explosive moves, it tacked on another 12% in recent sessions. Now that alone should have your attention, but what's really got me fired up is the confluence of factors that are setting up what could be one of the most explosive altcoin breakouts we've seen this cycle. See, Jasmy isn't just riding some random pump. This thing is moving in perfect synchronization with the broader Memecoin sector, which has been absolutely on fire with a 12% growth rate over the past 7 days. And when I say Jasmy is benefiting from this momentum, I mean it's stealing the show, logging its strongest performance of the entire month during this exact time frame. But here's what separates the winning traders from the losing traders in this market. It's not enough to just see the green candles. You need to understand the underlying mechanics driving the price action, because that's what tells you whether this rally has legs or if it's about to faceplant into resistance. So let's dive deep into the derivatives data, the on-chain metrics, and the technical analysis that's painting a picture so compelling, even the bears are starting to second-guess their positions. Let me start with something that should immediately grab your attention. The OI-weighted funding rate for Jasmy just flipped positive, hitting 0.0143 at the time I'm recording this. Now, for those of you who understand derivatives markets, you know this is huge. This metric was dominated by shorts during Jasmy's recent bearish phase, meaning traders were betting against the token and actually getting paid to hold short positions. But that dynamic has completely reversed. Traders are now paying to hold long positions, which tells us that the smart money believes Jasmy is headed higher, and the inflows, absolutely insane. CoinGlass data shows open interest inflows surged by $6.47 million in just the past 24 hours. That's a 14% increase, bringing total open interest to $46.1 million. Think about what this means. Institutional traders and whales aren't just buying Jasmy spot, they're leveraging up on derivatives, putting their money where their mouth is. When you see OI inflows of this magnitude, it typically precedes major price movements because it represents real capital commitment from sophisticated traders. Now here's where things get really interesting and honestly a little concerning. CoinMarketCap community sentiment data shows 87% of market participants are bullish on Jasmy right now. On one hand, this is rocket fuel for the price. When 87% of traders expect upside, they're willing to commit capital in line with their outlook. That means more buying pressure, more FOMO, and potentially more explosive moves to the upside. But experienced traders know that extreme sentiment readings can be contrarian indicators. When everyone is bullish, who's left to buy? This is the kind of sentiment extreme that can either propel Jasmy into a parabolic move or set it up for a brutal correction if the rally fails to deliver. But here's the plot twist that changes everything, and this is where most YouTube crypto analysts would completely miss the story. While derivatives traders are loading up and community sentiment is through the roof, the spot market is telling a very different story. Spot exchange net flow data reveals that over $2.3 million worth of Jasmy has been sold in the past 72 hours. Let me repeat that. While everyone's getting excited about the rally, somebody with serious size is quietly heading for the exits. This creates a fascinating dynamic. You've got leveraged longs piling in through derivatives, driving open interest higher, while spot holders are taking profits and reducing their exposure. It's like watching two completely different markets for the same asset. Now, persistent spot selling of this magnitude can absolutely erode gains and put pressure on those over-leveraged long positions I mentioned earlier. If the selling continues, it could trigger a cascade of long liquidations that would completely reverse this rally. But, and this is crucial, if we see a shift back to net spot inflows, that would remove the primary headwind facing Jasmy and give the bulls a clear runway to push this thing significantly higher. What most people don't realize is that Jasmy's rally isn't happening in isolation. The entire Memecoin market sector is experiencing a 12% growth rate over the past week, and Jasmy is positioned to benefit from this broader sectoral momentum. When sector-wide capital flows are positive, individual tokens within that sector tend to outperform on a risk-adjusted basis. It's like riding a favorable current. Even average swimmers can cover more distance when the tide is with them. And Jasmy isn't just participating in this sector rally, it's leading it. The token's performance during this period has been its strongest of the entire month, suggesting that when Memecoin money flows, Jasmy is capturing a disproportionate share. This sector momentum provides a fundamental tailwind that could sustain Jasmy's rally, even if some of the other metrics start to cool off. As long as Memecoin sector growth remains positive, Jasmy has the potential to continue benefiting from these broader capital flows. Alright, now we get to the part that has me genuinely excited about Jasmy's prospects. From a technical analysis perspective, Jasmy is approaching what could be the most important level of the entire year, a key neckline breakout that could trigger a massive bullish reversal. For those of you who follow technical analysis, necklines are absolutely critical levels. They represent the final resistance before a major trend reversal, and when they break with conviction, the resulting moves can be explosive. Prominent crypto analyst Javon Marks recently posted on X that the next move in $Jasmy is looking like it can result in a breakout above the pattern's neckline. A breakout above this neckline and we could see the huge bull reversal towards that $3 target begin. Let me break down why this $3 target isn't just hopeful thinking. This projection aligns with previous highs and represents significant Fibonacci retracement levels that institutional traders pay close attention to. From current levels, a move to $3 would represent massive upside, the kind of move that creates millionaires in this market. But here's what separates successful technical traders from the ones who get wrecked. You can't just rely on price patterns alone. You need volume confirmation. And that's exactly what we're starting to see with Jasmy. The recent rally has been accompanied by increasing trading volume, which suggests genuine accumulation rather than just technical short covering. When volume expands on breakouts, it typically indicates that institutional money is getting involved, which can sustain and accelerate the move. However, and this is crucial, we need to see sustained closes above the neckline with rising volume to confirm this bullish scenario. False breakouts are common in crypto markets, especially when sentiment becomes as extreme as we're seeing with Jasmy right now. Given the setup we're looking at, my trading strategy would focus on risk-managed position sizing with clearly defined exit points. The $2.3 million in spot selling creates a natural stop-loss level. If spot outflows accelerate, that would invalidate the bullish thesis and suggest the rally is losing steam. On the upside, a confirmed neckline breakout with volume would be my signal to increase position size, with initial targets around previous resistance levels and a final target near that $3 mark that Javon Marks mentioned. The derivatives data supports this approach. With open interest at $46.1 million and funding rates positive, there's significant leverage in the system. This can amplify moves in both directions, so position sizing becomes absolutely critical. What really has me bullish on Jasmy's prospects is the nature of the buying we're seeing. The surge in derivatives open interest suggests that sophisticated traders, the kind with multi-million-dollar positions, are positioning for upside. These aren't retail FOMO buyers chasing green candles. This is patient strategic accumulation from traders who understand market structure and have done their homework on Jasmy's fundamental value proposition as an IoT blockchain project. When institutional money starts flowing into smaller cap altcoins like Jasmy, it often precedes major re-rating events. These traders have access to information and analysis that retail investors simply can't match. So when they start positioning aggressively, it's worth paying attention. So where does this leave us with Jasmy? The data paints a picture of an altcoin at an absolutely critical inflection point. The technical setup is there, the derivatives market is positioning for upside, and the sector momentum provides a fundamental tailwind. But that $2.3 million in spot selling can't be ignored. It represents real selling pressure from holders who may understand something the rest of us don't. The key will be monitoring whether this selling pressure continues, or if we see it reverse as the technical breakout develops. My base case scenario is that Jasmy breaks above the neckline resistance and begins a measured move toward the $3 target. The derivatives positioning and sector momentum support this view, and the technical setup is as clean as we've seen. The risk scenario is that spot selling accelerates, triggering long liquidations and reversing the entire rally. This is why position sizing and risk management are absolutely critical in a setup like this. For those of you trading this, keep your stops tight and your position sizes reasonable. This is the kind of setup that can either make your year or teach you an expensive lesson about leverage and risk management. What do you think? Are you positioned for Jasmy's potential breakout, or are you waiting for more confirmation? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure you hit that notification bell because I'll be tracking this setup closely over the next few sessions. This content is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and should not be considered financial advice. Cryptocurrency investments carry significant risk, including the potential for total loss of capital. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Always conduct your own research and consult with qualified financial professionals before making investment decisions.